Hey, 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 you know what time it is.
It's time for the Heart to Heart Journey to Unconditional Love podcast.
That's right. And I'm your host, the late bloomer. That is my co-host, Harlan Brown. And Harlan Brown, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up?
Hey, how are you? How are you doing?
Man, listen, I'm not gonna go into the details, but right now I'm on cloud 109. We'll do that at another podcast, but I want to make sure we get right into what we're getting into today and what we talk about. It's been a minute since we've been together. You're looking good as always.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
yeah, little hiatus, does everybody good, but you know,
Yeah.
um it's crazy because over the period that we've just been, you know, having the series and the series that we having, something kept coming up all the time when people were talking about the podcast, and I'm doing podcasts or talking to people about podcasts, and someone always talks about, hey, I've been talking to people, but seems to be some red flags that I don't know if I want to keep going. I don't know if I want to do this. It seems like a nice guy, seems like a nice girl, but it's just something about them that is not registering. And I
Yeah,
thought I brought that to your attention. I said, hey, I think we need to do a podcast on that. And you agreed, right?
absolutely.
See, but yeah, so I want to talk about that and talk about the red flags that you see in relationships, and what do you do? How do you navigate that space? What are some of the things that you can take from that, and how we can help people build, I don't know, just build up a callus towards it and get an understanding on how to maneuver, with what to do, some ideas of which way to go, how to turn, and how to address those issues. So, you want to start with some of the red flags that you see in relationships, and how it has kind of affected you, or just anybody to affect you, to say, hey, this there was something there, but I'm not sure what's going on. It just seems to be something that I can't put my finger on, but it doesn't feel right in my spirit, on my heart.
Yeah, there's quite a few red flags that I have noticed. But I want to say this, that God gives you discernment for a reason. And I think that you should be mindful for it. I don't think you should love people. I think you should forgive people. And I think that um, it's an area for growth and it's a space to grow. But there are times when, yeah, we do see red flags and we don't know how to navigate them. Now, these are some red flags that I came across, and I know that a lot of people come across these red flags, but how do you navigate them? That's up for discussion, because that's something that you have to talk about with the person that you're with, right?
Right.
So
And that's why we having a heart to heart, right?
the top
That's why we
five,
call this the heart to heart podcast. Because, hey, audience, we having a heart to heart. We just gonna give it to you straight. And I know sometimes the conversation is difficult. We talked about rocking the boat. I don't even so much as rocking the boat, as opposed to just, hey, this don't look right. Let's have a conversation before I make a decision to say I just don't want to be bothered, or I'm going to continue to go on, or whatever. So sorry to interrupt you, but go ahead.
so some of the top things that I have come across is that you can be with somebody who is uncomfortable with um to sit with you in emotions, right? So a lot of times people want to fix you, or they want to dismiss it, or they'll just leave you alone to figure it out by yourself. And then they want to come back like, is everything good? Another thing that I
Okay,
got
well,
was,
let's go one at a time. Let's go one at a
okay, let's
time.
go one at a time. Hmm.
Okay, so you said to say that one more time.
Okay, so the person cannot sit in uncomfortable emotions. So if somebody is telling you that this is hurting me, or this bothers me, or this is detrimental to our communication and we're not communicating well, the person will either jump in to fix it, right? You may
Yeah.
quickly want to fix that and just throw it to the side, like you shouldn't, that shouldn't bother you anymore. We've already fixed that. Or they disappear and just like, well, let it fix itself. I'll let you figure that out by yourself. And
Yeah.
then you come back to me when it's all ready, or when it's all said and done, or you come to some conclusion on how you're going to handle that. So I think that was one of the big things that I had a sit down conversation about.
And that's a good one. That's a good one. Being uncomfortable in those emotions. And you know, I'll let you start then. Like, where do you see? Well, let's start with why are people uncomfortable in those emotions? Let's get to the root of that part. Why are a lot of people that are in relationships are uncomfortable in those emotions?
I really can't say why people are uncomfortable in those emotions. I think that for the most part, the person who is bringing it to the forefront is comfortable enough to say, I need to sit in these emotions to talk to you about this. But I think that sometimes you run against a brick wall and you say, hey, this is something that I want to talk about. And the other person is like, I don't want to talk about that. Or I'm not comfortable in why you feel that way. Or they think, hey, this person is now blaming me for everything. And why am I the blame? It's not a blame game. I think it comes to a point where you have to be emotionally equipped to say, hey, this is something that's bothering somebody who I care about, who I say I want to be in a relationship with. But um, I can't sit and talk to you about that. I don't want to talk to you about that, because basically it is, I don't want to. It's a basically, why can't things just be like they was? Why are you bringing this up? Why is this a big deal? Why is this
Yeah.
bothering you? But you have to understand, if this is bothering the person, then you should be concerned about what bothers the person. I mean,
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. So let's
Mhm.
dissect that. So if you
Yeah.
think there's an issue out there and you bring it to your partner and they say, I really don't want to talk about that or have that. What I guess you have to go back to say what precedent has been set as far as um, the way that you communicate with each other at that time to get to that point. Because if you're having good communication and good dialogue, then all of a sudden the person shuts down on you because you bring in a difficult emotional situation to them. And I guess I want to be more specific with the audience. Can you give me
Mhm.
something a little bit more specific, like a specific instance or something like that that you kind of came across or somebody brought to your attention?
It's really not a specific. It's not. I don't. It's not a specific thing. It's a general thing. I think it's a
Okay.
general thing because of the fact that I hear a lot of people say, "Well, I brought this up before, and it was supposed to be acknowledged and fixed immediately. The first time it was brought up, it was supposed to be fixed immediately, but it wasn't fixed immediately. Maybe it was fixed for 2 days, and then it dragged on, and then it became right back where it was. Right. So
Okay.
it's one of those things where the communication, yeah, it can be. You can speak about it, right? You can
Yeah.
have a conversation about it, but is the conversation really been, are you really being heard in the situation as well? Because at the end of the day, I'm saying this bothers me. This
Yeah.
bothers me.
Yeah.
And your reaction is, well, let's fix it. So why does it bother you? So I hope that doesn't, now that you told me that it bothered you and we fixed it, we don't have to be bothered by that anymore. Right.
So
So
you think, excuse me. So you thinking the
mhm,
guy or the other partner is being dismissive of the issue because when you brought it to their attention, y'all had a conversation and they said, okay, I understand, or whatever the issue was, I understand. I won't let it happen again. Let's move on. And they weren't emotionally connected to you where you believe that. That's what
I
it
don't
sounds
think.
like to me.
Well, that's what it sounds like to you, obviously. But I'm not saying that. I'm just
Okay.
saying that if somebody is coming to you on any strength, on any measure, whether it's emotional or not, the person who cares about the other person actually has empathy for that person, actually sits with that person, actually
Okay.
wants to hear how we could clear this up. How can we make this better? What could we do going forward? How can we make steps to improve? It's not a dismissal of, yeah, we fixed it, that's it, goodbye, all right, do your thing. It is about actually sitting down and having some kind of empathy. Like, if somebody is hurting, we can use, it doesn't even have to be a spouse. Let's think about it as a sister or a mom or a a good friend and that
Yeah.
person is hurting, you're going to that person who is hurting and you want to comfort them.
Yeah.
But when it's a spouse and you dismiss that, if your spouse can get more comfort from a friend than
Yeah.
the person that they're with, that's a big red flag. Like, is the person really into wanting to be in a relationship, or is the person really just you just cool for what you are at the moment, right?
Yeah,
So that's
and
what it
that's it.
is.
You're right. That's a big red flag. So if they're basically not taking ownership to be emotionally attached to you to help resolve the issue or show the empathy that's needed or being there in your time of need or your time of crisis, no matter what the issue is. So we don't even have to get specific with that because a lot of times what happened is because the first thing you just said was emotionally detached, right?
No, I'm just saying, well, if no, I'm not, I didn't really say emotionally detached. I was just saying if, and well, in all actuality, if we group everything I said together, it's emotionally
Yeah,
detached.
and that's what I'm
Right.
saying because I, don't- you know, we don't have a specific instance that we're talking about. We're making it general just to say that's a red flag. If you can't come and talk to your partner about something that's emotionally hurting you, and they give you two seconds, 2 minutes, let you speak, and then just say, "Okay, I let you speak. We gonna move on. We good," and not showing you the empathy, not showing any work towards getting a real resolution. And I think that is that where you're going with it because I don't want to take something that you're saying and take it down the wrong path.
No, I that I'm just you have a right to where you think that is, but what I'm saying is all I'm saying is yeah, there's no empathy, there's emotional disconnect, and it doesn't make that takes away any safe space that you may have been cultivating along the way. That removes that safe space because
Yeah, I
there's
agree.
no safety in that.
Yeah, I agree. But I think a lot of times is now to get
Mhm.
to the part of it had this heart to heart that we have and making sure that the people understand what the red flag is when somebody's emotionally um, not connected to you because they're not empathizing or getting closer to you or wanting to make sure that you're 100% resolve the issue and they're just going on the surface of it. That's what it sounds like to me. And like I said, I could be wrong, but when that happens, the first thing is to understand where you're at in that relationship, right? So again, now
Yeah,
you said spouse. So we're talking spouse. That's a totally different thing because if that's the spouse, they've been married for X amount of years, or maybe could have gotten just married. That could be a red flag that probably showed before they got married and it was never resolved, but they went on and got married anyway.
no, I didn't say spouse. I was like in a relationship. Like you're not married to the person. You just and
Okay.
you
No,
you
well,
think
it was if you
you
it
think
was a
you're in a
spouse in there
relationship with the
somewhere.
person. I don't think I was saying a spouse. I wasn't putting this on a married couple. I was just putting this
Okay.
on a relationship based couple. Like
Oh,
somebody who, yeah.
yeah, that's cool. So yeah, so we're not talking about marriage yet, and that's a red flag. That's what we really were trying to get at, or not trying. That's what we're really getting at is when you see those red flags. So let's kind of dissect it. So when you see that red flag, the first thing is you already are detached from feeling that you have a safe space because they blew you off. I'm saying they didn't become emotionally attached to you. They didn't get down with you to resolve the issue. They just let it, it just ran off the back and they were like, "Hey, I had the conversation with her, I had the conversation with him. We good, we gonna move on." But you weren't resolved with the issue, correct? The issue wasn't resolved in your mind.
No,
Okay, yeah, good. Get me right, Harlem Brown. Get me right.
no, that's not what I said. The
Okay.
problem, what I'm saying is that when somebody is emotionally detached from you and you thought it was a safe space, and it's not a safe space anymore because the person is not really your safety anymore, right? You have to go someplace else for that safe space
Right.
because that safe space is not there. It's a detachment. So every time it could be a small thing, well, it could be one small thing that continues to go on, that continues to be okay, we resolved that, that's fixed. Okay, we resolved that, that's fixed.
But there's
It's
no resolution. You saying the other person is saying is resolved, but how can they say it's resolved if there wasn't a conversation?
that's the point. That's the whole point. Like
That there's no
if
conversation.
you're going to the person with the conversation and the person has already resolved, because what this red flag is, the flag of immediate fix, can't sit with the emotions, and if I can't sit with the emotion and I fixed it, then I don't have to be bothered with this
But
anymore.
what's the fix? How did the other person fix it? I guess that's the disconnect that I'm getting. How did the other
Okay,
person say they
I
fixed it?
start, let's small thing. Let's see. I don't know. I hug you every time I see you, but now I don't hug you anymore. I don't know, something real dumb.
Okay,
But
no, that's
the
valid.
problem, the issue is, okay, so I get that that bothers you and you feel disconnected because that was our form of intimacy when we see each other. But
Okay,
now when we see, but all of a sudden, all of that kind of went away, right?
okay.
Now all
And
of
now,
that went
so,
away.
and then
And
when
now
you
the
address it,
result is, hey, I see that that bothers you, but that's not really my thing. But I'll give you a hug anyway, right? Hold on, let me finish.
got it.
Give you a
Okay,
hug anyway because that's what you're giving. Well, that's what you're giving the person when you
right.
like. Oh, okay. Well, I see that, and then okay, let me hug you again. Let me hug you now for the next couple of times I see you. But when I see you and I don't hug you, why are you getting so upset? We talked about that. Like I'm
Yeah,
good. Like
yeah,
but you're
I get it.
good, but the other
So,
person is not good. You know what I'm
right.
saying?
So,
So
so the
don't do things because don't
obligation.
do things just to do them. Do
Yes,
it because you want to do
yes,
them and you have
yes,
and your feelings are involved in that to do.
yes. And that is a red flag.
Am I clear? Did I verify? Did I clarify
Yes.
it?
Yes, you did. You did. I mean, I just listen. I'm not. I need some clarification sometime too. So
No, I'm just asking. I want to make sure that
give the late bloomer some grace. It's been a minute. So, but I get what you're saying. So yes, that is a problem. That is a red flag. So let's address it that way. Now that we came to a conclusion of what that looks like and how it looks, just for the audience to understand what that disconnect was, and now a person is doing things out of obligation as opposed to being emotionally involved in it, as opposed to in which they should be emotionally involved and wanting to give that person a hug, but they're just doing it because the other person wants that to happen.
right, and then
Okay.
they remind them every time. Oh yeah, I mean, because if I don't hug you, I know how you gonna get it. Like
Yeah. And again, I know as a man, um, I know that could happen if I'm not a kisser or a person of that does public display of affection, but the other person likes public display expressions, of affection. Then it could become an issue. Like I want to show the world. My partner saying I want to show the world that I love you and I don't mind kissing you in public, but you don't want to do that. So I get it. So how do we resolve that? This is because this is a podcast where we go to resolution. We want to make sure we get resolution on it, because now it becomes, this is who I am, accept me for who I am, and I have to accept you for where you are. But there's an impasse because if we both accept each other for where we are, then there's no resolution because we're just in the acceptance. We on both sides of accepting who each other is, but we don't want to make the necessary adjustment or change to make that person understand that you are there emotionally for them.
okay, I think the resolution, and I guess I'm going to beat the dead horse because I really think the resolution is always communication and clear communication and right communication. When I say
Right.
clear and right communication, I don't mean just dumping my issues and saying this is what it is, and the other person saying, "Oh yeah, okay, I got it. It's
Right.
done. It'll never
Right.
happen again. We fixed it."
Right.
That's not that's not communication. There's no communication in that.
Right. So
So
we started this, right?
everybody's gonna walk away feeling like, I don't even know if that made any sense. Was that even heard? What was that? Like, okay. So my thing is, and now it comes to my second thing is
Well, let's
conversation.
stay on your first thing. Let's stay on your
But
first thing.
I want to stay on the first thing, but I'm just adding to the first thing. I'm not gonna call it the second thing. I'm gonna say in addition
Okay.
to in addition to the first thing is surface level conversations. Unfortunately, when you get in that position, when you don't have that space, when you don't feel like you have that space, and it turns into um like you said, there's this I you said it, I heard you, and there's no resolution because everything remains surface level. That's the issue. Like, stop being surface level with people. If you cannot be real with people, if you're afraid to get down in the trenches with them, especially if this is somebody you want to be with, then it's not going to work. To
Yeah.
me, that's huge. That's a huge red flag. And it's not that somebody has to be the person the brunt of everything. It is nobody's fault. It is when somebody feels something, it's the way they feel. It's not anybody's fault. And when you start taking it as blame on yourself, then you start disregarding the person. You're making the person feel like they don't even have a right to have a feeling. So
Um,
I just feel like, for me, that's a definite red flag for me. I don't know how to resolve that. I think that you pray about it and you talk to God about it, you talk to the person about it, you ask God to help you and help you to explain it in a way that they can understand it. Explain,
but,
ask
but,
God
but
to show you how, ask God that they can receive what you
but
have to say.
but
Because
this is why you have the podcast there, Harlem Brown. That's why we have the podcast. You do know how to resolve it because we're going to resolve it together because this is what we do for our podcast. Great
so how do
start.
you resolve that? How do you resolve it, Late Bloomer? Tell me.
Right. The great start to the podcast. That's what I said.
Mhm.
This is going to be a series. And we're going to call it, in which I was going to call it that anyway, but it's Red Flags Don't Turn Green. Unless, and I'll give you the unless next week because our time is up with the podcast. We're going to continue this. We're going to do part 2 to this, and we're going to stop. So hold your thought because we're going to go and do part 2 to this. But any last words before we leave and we sign out and go to the podcast for next week because this is great information. So
No.
we did the new series that we got coming. Everybody is called Red Flags Don't Turn Green. A friend of mine did a song about this long time ago. I've talked to a lot of people these last few weeks about it. So it's a repetitive thing. It comes up all the time, but we're going to make it a series here on the Heart to Heart Journey, the Unconditional Love Podcast. So we're going to sign out now, but stay tuned because that's what we're going to, that's going to be, we're just doing this impromptu. That's going to be the new thing. And Harlem Brown's got some other points with that, other red flags that's out there. And we're going to address all of them so that we can get to a better position and put people in better positions for their relationships so that they can continue the journey to unconditional love. We don't want no stagnation. And you're going to hit some snags here and there. You're going to hit some stallments, but if you keep praying, like you said, Harlem Brown, if you keep God at the forefront, but let's give them the scripture real quick. And this is how we're going to sign out. We're going to give them the scripture that we have for this because we got to do the scripture. And the scripture today comes from Proverbs 22:3. Can you read that for the audience, Harlem Brown?
Sure. The prudent see danger and take refuge, but the simple keep going and, and pay the penalty.
Say that one more time for the audience.
The prudent sees danger and takes refuge, but the simple keep going and pay the penalty.
So y'all marinate on that as we continue to go. We're going to have the series Red Flags Don't Turn Green. I am your host, the late Bloomer. That is my co-host, Harlem Brown. And as we end all podcasts, trying to do something will keep you in your same place, but when you actually do something, your place has no limitations. Again, I am your host, Delay Bloomer. That is my co-host, Harlan Brown, and we see y'all next week.
See you next week.